Today, we invite Chad Minton from the Catfish on Ice podcast to talk about the Milwaukee Admirals and the Nashville Predators prospect pool. Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline podcast.
Welcome back to the Griffins Pipeline podcast. We are a podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. We are sponsored by DraftKings. I'm one of your hosts, Connor.
And I'm the other host, Kyle. We're a show by fans for fans. We're not officially partnered with the Griffins or Red Wings. We are season ticket members for the Grand Rapids Griffins. Longtime fans love to keep people updated on what's going on in Grand Rapids and AHL hockey in general. Today, the episode is going to be on the Milwaukee Admirals and a season update for them. We're going to talk to Chad Minton from the Catfish on Ice podcast and get an update on what's going on over there in Milwaukee and the Nashville prospect pool.
Yeah, but before we get into it, we're going to go over some quick news. So, all right, to start off, we have some player movement in the pipeline. We have John Leonard getting called up and going down. And then we have the big one, Michael Branson-Nygaard, getting called up to the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, well-deserved. Guy's been putting pucks in the net. The Red Wings have lost a forward, so they are now gaining another one, and a dang good one, too. So they're going to make good with him. I'm sure MBN will seize his opportunity. He's been playing on fire down in Grand Rapids. So Sebastian Cossa also gets a call up when John Gibson got injured. A little bit of a scare there. Call up Sebastian Cossa for a game or two. Sits on the bench, does not play. Still would love to see him get a game out there for the Detroit Red Wings, but hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, regardless of playing or not, that's a really good experience for the goaltender to get up there and mesh with the rest of the Detroit Red Wings and just get the practice in. It's really, really good experience. Nick Andrews, Michigan State Spartan, gets called up to the Grand Rapids Griffins from the Toledo Walleye and then gets sent back down. But cool to see Nick Andrews.
Yeah, good to see him. Gets a chance in the AHL. Looks like Jacob Truscott's been up and down too as well. So gets a few games here with the Griffins as of late and then sends them back down. And Nick Andrews gets the call up. So got a little bit of movement here in the pipeline. As we approach the trade deadline, that's kind of a common thing, seeing what we got in hand. Looks like the Red Wings decided to make a move this year. They acquired Justin Falk, was the biggest trade that they made, probably a solid number 3 defenseman on the list. And it came at a cost. So the Griffins departed with Justin Hall, Dmitry Bachelnikov, and a first-round pick. Dmitry Bachelnikov is definitely a guy we wanted to see here in Grand Rapids, but with him being a Russian player, you never know how all that works out. They don't really want to play in the AHL. So I think with the amount of forwards the Red Wings have stock in right now, they were going to move forward with someone else.
Yeah, and the return of David Perron, I think, is a really cool thing to the Detroit Red Wings. He was the guy who scored that goal with 3 seconds left, making the Red Wings think they possibly made the playoffs for about 2 seconds. It was really cool. That dude in the locker room, great addition. Has that physical ability, and his play style is like that OG play style, and that's just something missing in Detroit. So I really like the addition of David Perron.
Yeah, good to have you back, David Perron. Looking forward to see you in this playoff push as well. So, and then the last move was the departure of Elmer Soderblom, former longtime Griffin down here, the big 6'8" monster powerhouse that unfortunately we sent off for a 3rd-round pick. Being that he was a 6th-round pick, it's a fair value back, but man, in this one, I think I'd just rather have seen Rasmussen go than Soderblom.
Yeah, Soderblom was awesome down here when he played for the Griffins. He was I always got like showing my friends like, look at that huge guy down there.
Yeah, when we had the Twin Towers down here with Edvinson and Soderblom, it was fun to watch. And then the Red Wings got a couple years of that as well. So no more of Elmer Soderblom. He'll be over in Pittsburgh. So wish him luck as he goes. But we can wrap up the news. That's all we'll cover for today. We'll get into our interview with Chad Minton from the Catfish on Ice podcast after our DraftKings ad. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props, live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sports app and use code XXX. That's code XXX to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. Wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL. All rights reserved. So today on our show, we have a very special guest. He is Chad Minton from the Catfish podcast. He's also a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, so it's really cool. How you doing, Chad?
I'm doing very well, guys. Thank you for having me. Very excited to join your podcast today.
Yeah, we'll get into this with you first. We'll talk about the Catfish on Ice podcast, how you started that, what got you into hockey in general, and how you're covering the Predators today.
For sure, guys. So I'm a host of the Catfish and Ice podcast, the Hockey Podcast Network. We've been with THPN since late 2020, early 2021 was when we signed on board. I had never done a podcast up until then. So that was a very exciting new chapter for me. I've always been on the writing side of covering hockey as a freelance journalist, journalism background in college, growing up in Nashville, Tennessee. So I have followed the Nashville Predators since hockey came to Tennessee. I've watched youth hockey grow in the South, which has been a beautiful thing. When I was growing, I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but when I was growing up, hockey in Tennessee was like you had to go to a really nice private school, maybe. And just as I was getting into my late years in high school, I went to public high school, but late years in public high school, there was an offering to play some hockey, but none of my friends knew how to play hockey.
Same here, man.
The Preds had been around for, like 8 years at that point in Tennessee, but that's kind of the most beautiful thing I like to talk about with the Nashville Predators and their origin story is it is absolutely transformed the Nashville area when it comes to youth hockey. It could not be any more popular than it is right now. The kids love to play it. And why wouldn't they? It's just a beautiful sport. And so that's kind of been my trajectory. Like I said, I have a broadcast journalism background, and the fine folks at the Hockey Podcast Network asked me if I would take on a podcast covering the Preds, and I said, why not? Let's see how it goes. What could go wrong? And so almost we're coming up on 300 episodes, and so yes, it's all, and just to do podcasts like this with you guys, jumping on it on a fellow podcast on the network and being a guest is a lot of fun as well, guys.
Yeah, I always thought your guys' logo was really cool. I think it's really
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's really cool, dude.
Shout out to my beautiful mother, who is a graphic designer. She actually designed our logo. And so sometimes it pays to know the right people.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
So we can kind of get into the Predators a little bit, go over them just talk about how their season's gone a little bit because you mainly cover the Predators. So you talk about them for a second, and then we'll dive into the Admirals.
Absolutely, guys. So going into this season, they were a 68-point lame duck team last year. That's coming off that big free agency splash. They were the talk of the league when they signed Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea. Everyone was like, there were even like some trendy picks like, oh my God, all right, we're watching you, Preds. We see you, Preds. And it obviously was one of the biggest flameouts we've ever seen from a team when it comes to what they had on paper and what they produced. And so going into this year, it was a very gray area type of year. You only have anywhere to go but up when you finish with 68 points in an NHL season. So it wasn't really about so much improving on that number. It was about the fans seeing, okay, we finally need to see this vision of realizing that we're not a Stanley Cup caliber team. We keep the running joke around Nashville guys is that we're the retirement home for former elite great players. That's the running joke.
Kind of know that feeling.
Yeah, we've kind of had that here in Detroit.
Exactly, guys. And so, but then this, and the season really started off the rails. We really, and that's when the Stamkos trade rumors started coming up. That's when people started thinking, okay, this is the trade deadlines. This was like months and months ahead of time. This was like in November. But then this team started winning. This is what they do. They find ways to win. When you have a guy like Ryan O'Reilly leading your team, you're gonna milk everything you have out of it. And not to get too deep into every little player on the Preds, Ryan O'Reilly. I already had times 100 respect for this guy, but it's probably times 1,000 now, guys. Ryan O'Reilly. I hope people around the league are if they didn't already have respect for this former Conn Smythe winner, they definitely do now because he loves Nashville. He loves this team. I'm having a pushback from my own followers and fan base. Friendly fire on this. They think that he should have, been willing to be traded, but the GM Barry Trotz and Ryan O'Reilly had a gentleman's agreement that said, we're going to treat you like you have a no move clause and we're going to keep you here. And a lot of fans are very torn about that. It's a very difficult situation. So that's kind of where this team's at right now. I didn't check the standings this morning, but I know they're around that 3 to 4, 5 point edge on the wild card bubble. They've been there for like a month now, basically. No matter how much they win or how much they lose, they're staying in that range. So that's that's kind of where they're at, guys.
You just kind of get it to the point where you can win all these games, but when everyone else in your division and everyone else in the conference just keeps winning, it's like you can't really gain any ground. Because, everyone's in that boat where you're either do or die, and it's crazy. A lot of people play really good hockey when that happens.
Absolutely, guys. And definitely with the way the wild card system sets up, if you're that final wild card team, which is like shaping up to what the Preds will be if they're fortunate enough to even get that. I'm calling it the sacrificial lamb. It's like, who wants to sign up to be that sacrificial lamb to play most likely Colorado?
Goliath.
Jeez. And so that's another reason why fans are thinking like, okay, what are we really playing for here? And I'm old school, guys. I'm old school. You play to win. I get the long-term zoom out picture. I get pushed back from my followers and fellow Preds fans all the time. They think that I should zoom out and see the bigger.
Yeah, I hate the tank.
They're really most of them are very upset with the front office right now that they didn't move Ryan O'Reilly. They didn't move Steven Stamkos, which I don't get that because the dude had a no move clause. You had to get him to sign up to do that. And my working theory, and I feel like it's a pretty strong theory, is if Ryan O'Reilly wasn't leaving, Stamkos wasn't leaving. These guys are true veterans. They want to win. They want to see this through. They want to prove that those 68-point dud that they put out last year, abomination, it was a fluke. And so I think they play with a lot of pride, these guys. And that's just how I see it. I get a lot of pushback on that, and everyone's fully fair to disagree with me on that. But that's how I see it. I think these guys are just super old school. They see how close they are to getting in. And these guys don't play with loser mentalities. You don't become a Steven Stamkos or a Ryan O'Reilly and play with a loser mentality. And so that's just what I get with it. Now, we'll see. It could blow up in the front office's faces. If they fall short of the playoffs and they missed out on not capitalizing on their top trade pieces, and they didn't trade any of their top trade pieces, guys. They just traded depth guys. That's going to be a huge blemish. So that's kind of – we're in the final 20 games. So we're in the final 20 games. If they don't even bring Nashville some playoff hockey, even if it's just 2 games and a sweep, then it's really going to be bad. It's going to be bad regardless. Fans are already upset. But if they don't even make the playoffs after not selling at the trade deadline, it's going to be ugly. So that's kind of where we're at, guys.
I hear you.
So yeah, obviously one of those fun situations. So what does that do for like the prospect pipeline for like the Milwaukee Admirals? Like, how does that come into play? How's the development and everything going down there?
Well, you're kind of already seeing it with the Milwaukee Admirals right now. They are definitely feeling the brunt of when a team has to start calling up your best players. It happens to every organization. And finally, the Admirals have been a very strong AHL franchise for a while. They've been a perennial playoff contender. They play really good regular season hockey. They've had some strong leaders in that organization. Carl Taylor, the head coach, has been there for a long time. And the Preds and the Admirals have been linked together for a very, very long time. And very, very strong relationship. There's a lot of people in Nashville who cheer for the Admirals. I'm not exaggerating here. There are people in Nashville who cheer for the Admirals just as much as they cheer for the Preds. They call them. That's awesome. I mean, they love the prospects. They've been begging to trade the veterans who underperform and let's see the kids
and
play.
Bring up the kids.
Yes. But the Admiral and the team did do that. Like, that's another reason why I don't understand some of the pushback from the fans right now is we're seeing that even before the trade deadline. I mean, you're seeing Ozzy Weisblatt, who's a really good hard-nosed, high-motor player. It's mostly depth guys, but he's a big one who started the season. Matthew Wood, former first-round pick just a few years ago, collegiate star. He has been on the roster almost the entire season, NHL roster, and is having a great year, double-digit goals right now. Had a 2-goal game just recently. He's a big part of the future for sure, and he's already getting playing time. So the Preds already started doing this transition even before the trade deadline came. This isn't like a new development here. They've been dipping their toes into this phenomenon for a while, and so that's why the Admirals are having a pretty mediocre year right now, is they're going through those transitional phases where they've got to reload, and they're just not there right now. They don't have as much talent right now as they have had in years past when the Predators were veteran heavy and they were more into that let's make the playoffs and go for the cup. Clearly the Preds are not a cup caliber team right now, even if they do make the playoffs. Of course, magical things can happen, but that's just the overall thing about the Preds right now is they're that middle ground team. And so I think the prospect pool, or the Admirals, I should say, are definitely bearing the brunt of that. They still have a chance to make the playoffs, like with the seeding and the way that Calder Cup playoffs work, but they're definitely a very mid-level team when they were more of a top-tier team for a while.
Yeah, so the Admirals are sitting in 5th place in the Central right now. That's the last playoff spot. But yeah, they've been kind of battling with the Ice Hogs and the Stars, trying to stay right up there, just try to stay above that mark. But they have the potential. I mean, and they have the experience too. They're a very good AHL team.
Yeah, and what you're saying makes sense. Their season's been a little more of a roller coaster ride, and I'm guessing that has to do with those prospects being called up and down as that has kind of occurred throughout the season. I know they've taken like 9-game losing streaks from the season already, and I'm guessing that's why those prospects are up in the NHL, and then just kind of when they come back down, they're regrouping, getting back, keeping the standings alive, and it's a little bit more of a roller coaster ride for the Admirals this year, it seems.
And I think that the definitely, your upper management and your scouts they might be. I would have a little bit of cause concern right now that when you look at some of the leaders for the Admirals right now, they're more veteran AHL players, and that's a little bit of it cause for concern for me, because you look at who's playing, who looks to be playing prospects right now, who I always say are getting close to graduating or have graduated. These final 20 games in the NHL season. It's going to be interesting to see which players come back if the Admirals make the playoffs. But I mean, a big loss right now that I'm looking at, and it's the guy who's leading the Admirals in points right now for the season, and that's defenseman Ryan Ufko. He has been very much a tweener for a while now. Fans have been very excited to see him get called up. He finally did get called up after the trade deadline because the Preds did trade a starting defenseman, Nick Blankenberg. And so Ufko got his chance against Boston. That was a really inspiring performance, I must tell you guys. If you want to go back and watch the highlights of that game, the Preds were it was trade deadline eve, but they had already traded most of their depth players at that point. And the emotions were down. The morale was down. You totally expected the Bruins to probably just take care of them pretty easily, honestly. And the Preds kind of flipped the script and played a very fast and hungry and aggressive game, jumped on the Bruins early. And UC Saros did things that he normally does. He's having a horrible year, guys. Let me just say, that's another really amazing thing that the Preds are even in this playoff spot, because Saros is having an awful year. I mean, he's just not – he doesn't even look recognizable some games. His confidence is so shot. But he did have a really good sequence of saves in that game. But the young players and these Admirals prospects really played strong in that game. It's one game, though. Let's see if they can follow it up with these final 20 games. And that's kind of my overall rest of outlook grade for this team. I'm holding my opinion on this team. I'm not jumping the gun and calling it a success or a failure on this season until I see what these prospects who are playing now, and they're getting more playing time now, do they somehow rally with veterans like Stamkos and O'Reilly and Roman Josi and Jonathan Marchessault didn't get traded either, so he's still here. Like if they can blend the veterans with some of these newer guys that are playing who have been important parts of the Admirals for the past couple of years, if somehow they mesh all that together and they do make the playoffs, I mean, that's going to be a pretty significant story that we can kind of call a success, even if they lose in the first round. That's just me. I know there's a lot of my fellow fans who don't feel that way. That's just me. Because we got to see if these kids are ready to play for 2026, 2027.
Yeah, I agree with that. As a development league, now's the time to give those kids a chance. Bring them up, give them a chance, put that NHL jersey on, and play for the team that either signed you or brought you in to give you a chance. And I know a lot of these guys are sick of playing in the AHL while they're in the AHL. So especially these top prospects, and I'm sure just like all the other teams, at some point you want to see the top ones get a chance and play some minutes.
And and to piggyback off that, I'll say one player that fits that perfectly, what you just said there, Kyle, is Zachary Leroux. He's got a controversial past. I'm sure you guys have heard about him. He's had some disciplinary problems, like a lot of outside observers do not like his antics. I didn't like his antics. I'll promise you that. Some of the things he did I was starting to think this guy he's going to literally ruin his NHL future with how he is acting in some of these games, losing his emotions, losing his cool. And he has he still plays with that edge. And that's what Barry Trotz likes. That's what the Preds organization has always kind of gone after, is these, but Zachary Leroux is a guy that is really on a lot of people's radars in this final 20-game stretch, to see how, because he, just like you said, Kyle, he is a guy who is probably sick of playing in the AHL. He's ready for NHL action. He's ready to be an everyday NHL starter. And so he's a guy that's got to prove it in these last 20 games. This is a litmus test for him, for real. And I like a lot of the things he does. He was an easy player to plug in to the NHL lineup, even with his inexperience, because he's an agitator. He's physical. He's going to hit. He's going to bang. He's going to drop the gloves. Those are the kind of things that you can kind of plug a prospect into, and he's probably going to be fine. But LaRue's got to start showing a little bit more offense. He hasn't really done that too much yet. That's what I'm watching for him in these final 20 games. But that is a really difficult loss for the Admirals to swallow right now when it comes to rounding out their season and trying to make their playoff push. Is because it's funny, your AHL farm team and your NHL team are in very similar playoff runs right now. They're both either barely in the playoffs or they're right on the bubble, and so it's kind of like this weird dynamic right now with you're trying to balance out. Obviously, it's always the goal for the NHL team to succeed, but that's a tough loss for the Admirals. I don't know it remains to be seen, but I think that's going to really, really – because he's a great AHL player, Zachary Leroux is. When he keeps his cool,
yes, he is.
He's a really good player. Is he quite ready for everyday NHL games? That you have to find out now, though. So I'm glad he's up here. I'm glad he's in the NHL. He played 60-plus games. He already played his rookie year in the NHL. That's what people don't realize. And he just now made his NHL debut, season debut. So he's a weird one. He's got to prove it right now. He's definitely in a prove it situation.
Yeah, and luckily for the Admirals, the Ice Hogs and the Rockford Ice Hogs and the Iowa Wild, they're playing terrible right now. The Ice Hogs they're the next team underneath them with 44 points. The Admirals have 51. They're the team trying to steal the playoff spot from them, and things aren't going good in Chicago, so it's affecting right down the line. The Ice Hogs probably need a miracle to catch up with the Admirals, just considering the state of everything over there right now.
Yeah.
But sounds like the Admirals and the Nashville Predators are in a similar situation. And then the Iowa Wild, they're creeping back up too.
Yeah, Iowa's been on a hot streak.
It could be a situation. It could be a situation where the Admirals do sneak into the playoffs based on that current playoff race. But, yeah, I mean, it could be a similar situation to what their NHL affiliate is going through right now. Like, okay, yeah, you might make your playoffs, but it's going to be tough for you to go very much further than just participating, just in making it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a weird time for sure. I think what a lot of people are saying, and I agree with this, is this organization has to take their medicine. And I can't remember which popular account shared this. It was like over a month ago. It was one of the analytical websites, but they shared. It might have been Daily Face-Off, but they shared all the NHL franchises and how many times they've all gone through proper rebuilds. They had metrics that would grade what a proper rebuild is. And this ties into the Admirals as well. Only the Preds and the Dallas Stars were the only two teams in the entire league, I think it was over the last 20 years, that have actually gone through a proper rebuild. So you look at a franchise like the Preds, well, what do they have to show for it? They've been to one cup final, and that was magical. I was there. People were so happy in Nashville. I mean, it was so cool to, whatever. But other than that, very little playoff success. So that's the anger that the fans have. They see the success that the Admirals did have had. But what fans also don't realize, and I'm not trying to attack casual fans or anything like that, but what some casual fans don't realize is just because you have a really great AHL team doesn't mean it's going to immediately translate to the NHL. It's a very difficult – it's one of the hardest sports in all – yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Every player on the NHL roster is better than like almost every player in the AHL. So you got your young rookies that are cooking in there that are really good, but like people don't realize how good the NHL roster is actually.
Yeah, how hard it is to get on that roster. You have to be the top player of your AHL team.
The gap is so far, and people don't realize how hard it is to make that jump. sometimes. And then the jump from the junior leagues to the AHL is also a very significant jump. So, I mean, it's a very long and it requires a lot of patience. People get caught up on just current times, Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, Schaefer for the Islanders. Yeah, we've had a lot of really good top-end prospects lately, but they are still the exception to the norm when it comes to being patient with these prospects. And you guys know that better than anybody covering an AHL team like you do. I mean,
it could be a more dangerous league for your top prospect to be in at some points. I mean, it could just be that you don't want them playing against these aggressive 32-year-old men that didn't make it to the NHL, but they can still do some damage. So sometimes it's a matter of just get them in with the team that you want them with early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people I notice kind of think it's like the NFL, every first round draft pick is starting, they come right in and they start on the NFL team. But those dudes are like, they've been through college. They're getting drafted after college. A lot of these hockey players are getting drafted at the age of 18, 17,
Good point.
That's like a 3-year gap, 4-year gap. And the AHL is very cool because it's kind of like a buffer there. It's a really needed league. And then you got the ECHL below that, which is also really, it helps the people who can't make that adjustment to the AHL. It helps them get good in the ECHL, and then it helps them. You need the 3, I believe.
Yeah, it's a good 3-tier affiliation.
Yeah,
and jumping off that, guys, kind of where the Preds prospect pool is at right now, very interesting, and it really just you guys bringing that up just now really made me think about it even more. A lot of the crown jewels that exist in the Preds prospect pool right now are not even on the Admirals right now. You do have Tanner Mollendijk, who's playing his first year in the AHL, and he's kind of having a rough go of it, kind of like we just talked about. He is making that first step transition from junior hockey to the Admirals, and he's nowhere close. He's not even a 0.5 point per game player right now, and he was a point per game player in junior hockey. So, but he is I call him Roman Josi 2.0. The guy is one of the smoothest skaters at his age. He's a transition defenseman. I think he's going to turn out to be a really, really good player down the road. But again, that goes back to you got to be patient when you're talking about fans waiting for these top. But he's definitely a crown jewel. So he is one player that is playing for the Admirals right now that is long scope, very, very important to the Preds. But he's got a little ways to go. We'll see how he looks in training camp next season. Maybe he can win a spot. I doubt it based on how I'm seeing his progress right now. But a lot can change. We'll see. But, a lot of the top prospects for the Preds either haven't even made their Admirals debut yet. So there is help on the way for the Admirals down the road. One player in particular, obviously, is the 5th overall pick in this past draft, Brady Martin, who, he hasn't even played for the Admirals yet. He wasn't eligible for the Admirals this year due to his age. He had to go. He had to go straight back to the Ontario Hockey League for the Greyhounds, and he's a rising star for the Canadian junior hockey team. Played in the World Juniors this year. 4 goals, 4 assists. Sustained a shoulder injury, and has unfortunately missed a lot of time this year for his junior hockey season. But did start the season in the NHL, which shocked a lot of people when that happened. He played his 7 or 8 games that they allow you to play at that age before you have to be sent back. And so the Preds experimented or whatever with that, and it was fun. So he's the crown jewel, obviously, of this organization right now. He plays physical. He's got a motor. He's got some offensive skill as well. A lot of draft analysts said the Preds way overreached for him at number 5. So we'll see. It's not a perfect science, but we'll see. So he's the crown jewel. But, yeah, I think the Admirals do have some reinforcements coming. I don't know how long Brady Martin would even play for the Admirals. He's the type of talent where I think it would be a quick leapfrog and maybe a brief stop in Milwaukee when he's eligible. But I think the Preds desperately want him to get to Nashville fast. A player that I'm really interested in, guys, and again, way down the road, if you don't mind me going on a short tangent, is Igor
Go
Surin.
for it, man.
Igor Surin, I invite your listeners. Some of your listeners probably already know about him. Igor Surin, drafted a few years ago. And you guys know how KHL prospects work. When they're over there playing in Russia right now, that has always been a very complicated path to get them back over here. But he is, if they can get him into Milwaukee after he's got one more year left in his KHL contract. So we're thinking like 2027, 2028. But if the Preds can find a way to get him to Milwaukee in a couple years, let him play one season in AHL, I'm telling you, he will be the top player for the Milwaukee Admirals. The guy is already tearing it up as a rookie in the KHL, which is a very, very difficult league for a rookie to play in. And so I'm shooting way ahead of myself here, guys. Let's talk again in 2 years if you guys want to have me in 2 years. But
Absolutely.
but when remember this name, Igor Surin. Watch his highlight reel on YouTube. Dude is a motor. He is a truck. He's a Mack truck, but he's got offensive capability. He's a two-way guy. Maybe compare him to like a Matthew Tkachuk type of player. I don't know. He's got a future possibly with his two-way game. And once they can get him over here to North America, whenever that happens, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is the Preds prospect pool is not particularly strong with the Milwaukee Admirals right now. They've already kind of poached all of their top prospects from Milwaukee. You know, there's a few guys that maybe you could say have a chance to get to Nashville next year, but they've really already poached most of their the guys that are on the Milwaukee Admirals roster right now, post-trade deadline, most of them do not have high NHL futures. That's just the truth of it right now.
So who are some of those veterans that are kind of putting the team on their shoulders for the time being while things kind of get figured out over there? Who's like the captain maybe and the assistant captains, and who's just the steady, like every night veteran that doesn't miss time just because he's holding down his fort?
Well, they're a pretty young AHL team from what I understand. But I definitely look at Jordan Osterley, who played for the Predators last year. He's a veteran defenseman who's played a lot of NHL time. He's not a flashy player, but I'll tell you one thing. I appreciated what he did during a very difficult, as I mentioned earlier, 68-point season last year for the Preds. I mean, morale was I can't remember a more lower point in this franchise's history, and I've been watching them since 1998. I mean, their early years, we expect them to be back because they were an expansion team. It was really hard to watch. I watched them not only because I am a diehard, but also because I have to cover them. They were that bad. I would have never expected a casual fan to watch the Nashville Predators last year. But I will tell you that Jordan Osterley was the consummate professional. And so he's down there in Milwaukee right now. I'm sure that he is holding that locker room together, and he is the veteran presence that you need. Jake Lucchini is a career guy in the AHL for the most part. He's got 38 points in 51 games, so he's holding it together as a centerman. So he's definitely a veteran AHL guy. I don't really know a lot about his NHL experience, but I've heard a lot about his name. But again, he's not going to get called up in the current Preds situation right now. Like, that's just not going to happen. So he's definitely anchored to the Admirals right now. So he's a player you definitely look at if the Admirals are able to make the playoffs. But honestly, they don't have a lot of veteran leadership right now. I mean, you look at it, a lot of the guys that are still left over right now that the Preds haven't called up are also very young prospects. I mean, I mentioned Tanner Molendyk earlier. We'll see what he can do. That'd be cool to see the Admirals sneak into the playoffs and Tanner Molendyk just goes off and shows his first-round pick value. That would be a big learning experience for him. A lot of their veteran leadership is definitely on the defensive end of their thing. Like, they got Andreas Englund, who's played NHL minutes for the Preds as well. But yeah, a lot of their big forward leadership is already playing for the Preds right now. They're already in the Preds starting lineup. So I don't know how they're going to navigate their playoff push right now. I really don't know how they're going to do it.
Gotcha. Good. I mean, that's interesting. You know, some teams really seem to stock up this time of year, and whether that be for their AHL team or their NHL team. now that the trade deadline's over, it seems like Nashville's kind of got a lot of questions still.
For sure. I mean, I'm going to be dead honest. I could see the Admirals not actually holding on to that 5th spot. I know it's a little bit of a gap right now, but the more I look at what has been poached from them and who's playing in the starting lineup for the Preds right now, I mean, I'm talking about guys like not just Ufko, who's their leading point scorer, who I think he should be playing the final 20 games for the Preds. You got to see what he's able to do for you next year. But Zachary LaRue, we already mentioned. But Joakim Kimmel is one of their top power play threats. Everyone has been clamoring to say we need Joakim Kimmel on the Preds roster right now. You know, this guy has top 6 potential in the NHL one day. Maybe as soon as next year. Probably not next year. He's going to take some time. He doesn't have a lot of NHL experience yet, but his raw talent, especially his shot, his unique shot, his power play presence. He's also a physical player. He can get physical when he needs to. The Admirals are going to miss him sorely, and I don't see him going back to Milwaukee now with where the Preds are at. I mean, obviously, NHL teams send players back. If they're out of the playoffs, they'll send players back for their farm system if the playoffs are needed. So that could happen. But I'm just calling it Reed Schaefer is another big one who the Preds acquired in a trade back in the day when they traded Matthias Ekholm. They got Reed Schaefer in that deal. Another guy who's looked really good, really physical. You're seeing a theme here, guys. The Preds like physical prospects. Reed Schaefer is another guy. He's got a lot of attitude to him. The Admirals are going to miss that as well. I mean, the Admirals lost a lot of physicality and attitude to their forward core. It's so depleted right now. And I don't know how they're gonna stay afloat for that. Like, I mean, it's, you know, they're barely hanging on right now. It's going to be a masterclass by Carl Taylor. If he can keep head coach Carl Taylor, if he can keep this ship afloat for Milwaukee, and they somehow make the playoffs after getting all of their top core players poached for the NHL right now. I mean, that's kind of where Milwaukee is at right now. I'm sure there's some Admirals fans who right now they're like, man, this kind of stinks being an AHL fan, because you see all your favorite players in the middle of a playoff race just get poached by the parent organization. You know, guys, it's tough.
It happens so often throughout the league.
Fedor Svechkov, he's another one. I mean, he's another center. I mean, they've lost a lot of forwards, guys. So I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna get to the playoffs, even with this cushion they have right now in 5th place.
Yeah, they call me crazy, but Iowa Wild, the team that's been in last place all year, and they were so far behind at one point. We actually talked to Ben Gislason, the announcer for the Iowa Wild. He's like, we could come back and sneak in there, and it's almost looking like a reality with the state of after talking to you, and we talked to Mario Terabasi about the Rockford Ice Hogs, and you guys are both in the same position, the Milwaukee Admirals and the Ice Hogs, and it's looking like those Wild might sneak right in there.
Yeah, it could definitely happen. It's difficult. And Carl Taylor, again, just really quick, the head coach of the Milwaukee Admirals, I mean, he's been rumored in NHL circles for a long time to get some type of a coaching opportunity. When Andrew Burnett, the current head coach of the Preds, everyone was calling for his hot seat to blow up and for him to be fired, and Trotz remained loyal to him, and Andrew Burnett's still the coach for now. But he's another interesting development that could happen, where Carl Taylor has kind of earned his stripes to maybe get an NHL opportunity from somebody once we get some head coaching vacancies and teams start looking for replacements. Carl Taylor, look for that name, because even though their Admirals are going through a rough time this year, it's to no fault of his. He's made that organization and that farm system very valuable. And if you can start seeing some of these prospects play well on the NHL level, that'll just be further confirmation of a development head coach that he is. And so the Admirals are definitely in a very influx situation right now.
Yeah. So we kind of went over most of the roster for the most part, besides the goalies, I feel like. So you guys got Magnus Krona, who's been doing real good for you, and then Matthew Murray, who's been there for a while. What do you got to say about those two guys?
Really good AHL goalies. The Preds have always been known as a goalie factory. I mean, you look back to Pecorine, you look back to Saros, you look back to even some lesser known names. Mike Dunham was the first franchise goalie. Tomas Vokoun. They've always had really good franchise goalies. This franchise has been spoiled with franchise goalies. And I always try to tell my fellow fans that you guys don't know what it's like to cheer for a franchise that is snake bitten when it comes to finding franchise goalies. It's a tough. The Preds have never really had to deal with that. Now Saros is in a bad funk right now. He had a great Olympics. Saros did, by the way. He almost drug Finland past Canada to the gold medal game. So Saros is one of the most streaky goalies you'll ever see, and it's because he's undersized. He has to play aggressive in the crease, and it makes it hard on a player like Saros. But when he's on, he's locked in. Go look at the save he made in the Bruins game where he was sprawled out and somehow stuck his glove out and just snatched the puck. He's definitely a – but when it comes to the goalie situation for the prospects right now, I don't see a pathway forward for either of those guys, definitely not next year. Justus Onninen, the backup for Saros, did get a new contract from the front office for the Preds, so he'll be back next year as a backup to Saros. And he's been very streaky as well. He's been put in really, really bad situations as backups tend to be put into. But he's been really good in relief. Saros has gotten chased a bunch of times this year in games, and then Justus Onninen, the backup, comes in and just puts on a masterclass and allows the Predators a chance to make a comeback. So I think the goalie room is very, very set in stone right now for the Preds, at least for another year. But I do really like Matthew Murray, and I did actually talk about him going into this previous season when I didn't know about the Justus Onninen extension before that happened. I do really like Matt Murray. I do. I think he's a really great, strong AHL goalie. Magnus Krona, not as much. I feel like he's a career AHL goalie. But Murray, possibly. I don't know. He's definitely third in line in the goalie pipeline. I just don't see Justus Onninen. There's no goalie controversy for sure. It's definitely Saros and Onninen going into next season, regardless of how these final 20 games occur. I feel like they're pretty confident in both those guys.
Gotcha.
Cool. So, yeah, we'll kind of get into the Griffins matchup and the Admirals matchup. So far this year, so they played 12 times this year. They've played 8 so far.
I always forget that the
total, yeah.
I always forget the season series is so in the AHL, you play a lot of the same teams.
Yeah, so far, the Griffins are beating the Admirals, and they're 5-0, 2-0, so the Admirals have won twice in overtime. But Griffins have managed to grab points on the Admirals every game they've played them.
That's quite the stat. That is pretty lopsided, if you tell me.
Yeah.
Well, the Griffins have just been
unreal season for the Griffins this year.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but hasn't the Detroit Red Wings prospect pool been one of the top ones for a while now? They've been building it up.
Yeah. They were
Steve
rated
Yzerman,
number 1 last year and the year before that too, I think.
I mean, Steve Yzerman he's like one of the best GMs in the league.
Yeah, he's putting on a drafting masterclass for the last couple of years, it seems like, and it's all coming to fruition now for Grand Rapids, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, let me tell you this too. Backstory: growing up as a kid watching the Preds, when they first came to Nashville. I don't know if anyone else as a Preds fan has ever told you this, but you'll find this kind of cool. You've maybe heard this before. But when the Preds and the Red Wings were in the same division, when the Preds first came into the league, the Preds, when they hosted the Red Wings, definitely their expansion year, but definitely the first few years, it was 50-50 Red Wings Preds fans, guys. It was like going to a Red Wings home game in Nashville because
that's crazy.
There were a lot of people in Tennessee who didn't even know what icing was when the Preds first came to Nashville.
Mm.
So it was like, and I remember going to one of those games, and everyone just wanted to see fights. They didn't even know they knew you were supposed to score goals, and they wanted to see fights. That was the knowledge. That was the knowledge of Preds fans, almost 30 years ago. Obviously, I'm going to defend my fan base now. The fan base is actually very knowledgeable, and you've got generational fans now. But then it was crazy, and the reason why there were so many Red Wings fans in Nashville at that time was because of the Saturn power plant. Saturn auto plant. There was a Saturn car manufacturing plant in Nashville, and so there were a lot of transplants from Michigan who lived in Nashville, and they weren't going to start cheering. They weren't going to start cheering for the Preds just because they lived in Nashville. They were die-hard Red Wings fans. Those games were a lot of fun, and we were like definitely David versus Goliath matchups. That was the heyday of the Red Wings franchise.
I remember Pavel Datsyuk was a nightmare to Pekawini.
Oh my gosh! I mean, being a young kid, the Red Wings were like the Chicago Bulls of the '90s at that time.
Mm-hmm. Just made the playoffs for 25 years straight.
Sergei Fedorov, Chris Osgood. I mean, they were just like stacked. They were so good.
Yeah, they were. So we're kind of running into the time. We don't want to take too much of your time, man. So I want one question I gotta ask you. So what's with the catfish and you guys throw the catfish on the ice, correct?
Yeah.
Is there a backstory to that?
As far as I understand, the backstory to that is it kind of ties into the whole Red Wings. You guys throw the octopus, right?
Yep.
And so fishing for catfish is really big down here. And I think actually how it really started was he's actually been on our podcast. You would have to go back like almost 3 years ago. It was one of our first episodes. But there was a guy during the 2017 playoff race that snuck a catfish into Pittsburgh Penguins arena. It was either game 1 or game 2. He snuck a catfish into Pittsburgh Penguins home arena and threw it on the ice, got escorted out by police, got thrown out of the game. And he tells a story on the early days of our podcast about how even the security guards at the Penguins arena were laughing.
That's
and
awesome.
He ended up doing it a bunch more times. You can follow him on X, Catfish Jake. But
I'll do that.
He was a local phenomenon at the time. He did it a couple times. He literally went on local radio stations talking about the art of how do you sneak a catfish past security into arena. And so that's how it was born. I think he was trolling the Red Wings, who would throw an octopus. And it's a very alive and well tradition now. It doesn't happen every game, but if it's a really big game, and so I would say it happens.
Yes.
I would say if the fan
That's
energy
awesome.
I would say if the fan energy is high. I would say if it's a really big matchup, let's say like Chicago, we consider Chicago one of our most arch rivals. At least we see it from that perspective. They might not see it from that perspective, but we do. You will definitely see it. It happens. It happens a lot. It doesn't happen every game, but it happens a lot. And so when we were coming up with the name for our podcast, we wanted to think of something that was different, that was weird, that would stick out. We didn't want it to be too generic, and so we just had to think of something. And that was, to this day, I think that was one of the hardest things of the whole podcast, was figuring out what the heck we're going to call ourselves, But so we stuck with that, and it's just never gone away.
Yeah, honestly, your logo and stood out to me, the catfish thing. I was like, we were looking for people to talk about the Admirals, and there's not much people that talk about Admirals. So we're looking at Predators people, and like we saw your logo, and we're like,
I appreciate it, guys.
I think this is the one.
We're on a little bit of a high.
Yeah,
definitely.
One more thing I got to tack onto the whole catfish thing is I've seen people chug beers out of the catfish at Bridgestone Arena. Like, that's crazy.
People are crazy down here, man. I mean, they are.
Gotta love the loyalty and the talent down there.
But people love fishing for catfish down here. We have a lot of lakes down here, so I think that tied into it. But it was that guy. It was that guy that kind of started the tradition. He and even when he came on our podcast, I was like, dude, I hope you're not mad. He was like, no, man, I love it that you used what I started and made it into a podcast. I'm like, I'm glad we have your blessing, man. I wouldn't want it from anybody else but you, because you're the one that actually started that phenomenon. Like I said, if you want to search for him, he's a cool guy. I don't know when's the last time
you said.
Yeah, Catfish Jake. I don't know when the last time he did it, but he might have made his catfish smuggling days retired. I don't know, but that's where the name came from.
You can only throw so many catfishes until you lose your season tickets.
Well, I just don't even understand how you pull it off. That's the craziest part.
So with the octopus, I guess you gotta boil it or something, or it will like leak and smell.
Stick to the ice. They'll have to scrape it off the ice.
Yeah, so you boil it, and then I guess you gotta like tape it to your leg or something.
That's what he did. That's actually how he definitely taped it to his leg. That's how he got it into Pittsburgh for the Stanley Cup final. Awesome. I mean, that's legendary status right there, guys.
Dedication to
He's definitely. I just checked his profile, his timeline. He's definitely active. So definitely shoot him a follow. He might even come on your. I haven't spoke to him in a while. He might even come on your podcast. Who knows? In the dead time of the year when there's in the dead time of the year when you need content, there's nothing going on. Just bring him on. He'll fill the whole episode.
Hell yeah, dude!
That's awesome, guys.
Awesome. Right. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yes. So we're on a little bit of a hiatus right now. We're getting ready to come out with our trade deadline recap episode. We stream live a lot, so you get to watch a lot of comedy of errors. Sometimes you get to see me knock You get to see me knock my microphone over. I do something clumsy one time an episode when we film live, so just watch for that alone. But we have been a little less active lately. I work a full-time job. A lot of us have outside lives out of this. But we definitely have a big episode planned on Sunday night. We just appreciate doing this. We love doing this. The Hockey Podcast Network has been such a blessing to me and to the family. Anytime a fellow podcast on the network like you guys ask me to come on, if I can do it, I'm going to do it. I love talking hockey with you guys, and you guys have been very gracious hosts today to us. But if you want to follow us, we're on YouTube at Catfish Ice. We're on X at Catfish Ice. We're on Facebook, not as active on Facebook, but we try to get our episodes on there as well, but definitely very active on X and YouTube. We post all of our live episodes on YouTube. We post clips. And I also am a freelance sports writer for predlines.com on Fansided. So I try to stay as active as I can covering the Preds. And we also do Admirals stuff there as well. We get Admirals content in there as well.
Sweet.
Well, thanks again for doing this with us today, Chad. Really appreciate you coming through, bringing the knowledge. It was a little more of a struggle to find someone to talk about the Admirals, so you got us to wrap up our whole Central Division review, so really appreciate you doing that for us.
The pleasure's all mine for you welcoming me in.
Yeah, and if the Admirals somehow make the playoffs, would you possibly meet back up and talk about the playoff matchup?
I would love that, and the key word there is somehow.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, guys.
Again, thank you so much, Chad. You have a good rest of your day.
You as well, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you again so much for joining us today, Chad Minton. It was great to talk about your show, learning about the Nashville Predators a little bit, learning about where the Milwaukee Admirals are at in their season. Of course, wish them luck on their journey trying to clinch the playoffs. It sounds like it's going to be a rough one. And make sure everyone go and check out his show, the Catfish on Ice podcast. And just make sure he knows that we appreciate him coming on the show and joining us today.
Yes, thank you very much, Chad. We really enjoyed the talk. So that should get us into our final segment of the show. Wrap this up. We are into the penalty box. Welcome to the penalty box. This is the last segment of every episode. We like to put the biggest idiot of the week into the penalty box for a 2-minute minor, 4-minute double minor, 5-minute major, or a game misconduct. Kyle, who are you throwing into the penalty box?
I am throwing Dylan Larkin into the penalty box for scaring the death out of us for trying to get injured in March again. The Red Wings have been through this in March every single year, where Dylan Larkin kind of goes off and does the Olympics or the Four Nations or whatever mid-season event, the All-Stars, and he comes back and gets injured almost every single year. So coming down the ice and almost pops his leg out of socket, it looked like to me. Everyone's saying it's a pulled MCL, ACL. Sounds like he's going to be okay, everyone. I'm really hoping that he is back on the ice really soon. So
yeah, it looked really bad. My heart literally skipped a beat.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't want this to happen again where the Red Wings have a terrible March and miss out on another great playoff opportunity. So gotta hammer this much hard, and we're gonna need Dylan Larkin for it. So 2 minutes in the box for scaring us, Dylan.
So I'm gonna double down on that kind of, but I'm gonna go with Carter Mazur for scaring us. A 2-minute minor. Because everyone thought he was injured again. Turns out he's not injured. He's actually just resting, guys. It's okay. Bob Kaiser says they're kind of keep him fresh for the playoffs, keep him good, because he has been very injury prone. Get the bubble wrap out and wrap him up. He'll be okay. Let's get him enough juice to get him through so he can be ready for the playoffs. It looks like he's already playing great, so we definitely don't want to overdo it. So
yeah, I think they just didn't want him in that doubleheader weekend against Cleveland. I mean, big game matchup came out. He scored in his first game back, and yeah, I think he got an assist in his second game back, but playing that back-to-back, I think they just wanted to give him a break.
Yes, and you can't complain with that.
No, we want Carter Mazur for the rest of the season. So
his health, and in the end of the day, his health is more important than a hockey team. So get him some rest, get him fresh. Let's win this Calder Cup, guys. Let's do this. But 2 minutes in the box, not even really his fault, but we were all scared.
We were all scared. Dylan Larkin, Carter Mazur, season's falling apart. No, we'll be all right, guys. Everyone will be okay.
So yeah, that should wrap up the episode pretty much. We have a couple games coming up this weekend against the Milwaukee Admirals on Friday, March 13th, and Saturday, March 14th. Friday is Purple Community Night, and Saturday is Star Wars Night. So come root your Griffins on. You just listened to a kind of a nice little preview on the Admirals, so now you can have a little more fun watching.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this. Just keep you updated what's going on with these teams that we play so often. So thank you again to Chad Minton for delivering that information to us. And again, we hope we can talk to Chad Minton down the road, along with the rest of these AHL teams that we've had a chance to play this year in the Central Division. So we're going to try to keep that going up for next year, do another Central Division review, and thanks for helping us get that wrapped up, Chad. So,
yeah, thank you, Chad, very much. Go check his podcast out, Catfish on Ice.
That should get us all wrapped up for this episode. Go Griffins.
Go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like, and follow us on Facebook and X, or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.